Isaac Paredes hit one of his
Oh.
3 home runs over the course of the series.
After this series, we should stop the narrative that Isaac Paredes couldn't hit at Steinbrenner Field.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulysses Zambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
We're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 7th season covering the Rays daily.
So grab your favorite Rays gear and settle in as we discuss a series win at the Stein. Nobody thought it could happen, like the 4-minute mile, and the Rays did it, beating the Houston Astros on Wednesday and Tuesday in differing fashion. So we have a lot to discuss with that. Plus, if we have time, a mailbag episode. So on Wednesday, the Rays won 8-4. The homers came alive really for both sides, but particularly the Rays. And then Tuesday was the old 3-2 win of the Taylor Walls walk-off variety. We don't see here experience that very often. So Ulysses, where do you want to start?
Let's
do series as a whole, Wednesday, Tuesday. What are you thinking?
I think chronologically, when that Tuesday game was happening, we had just finished recording, and after that Monday loss, we both were just let down. I think all of Rays Nation was. Yeah. And then a little bit more of the same thing, right? You're getting shut out. You're not scoring any runs. It's 2-0, and bing, bada bing, bada boom. It's the 8th inning, 9th inning. The guys come back. And then you know it, Taylor Walls up to bat with the game on the line. And I think that was like a make or break point for the relationship of this fandom with Taylor Walls. Right. If he doesn't come through there, I think a big portion of Rays fandom loses their bleeping mind. Yeah. And they would just rioting. But Taylor Walls came through. Yes, did the ump maybe forgive a strikeout call there a little bit before? Certainly, that happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we've had calls go our way and the other way, and it usually winds up evening out. I've seen games, I can't remember the exact game. It might have been game 1 against Houston, actually, where there were a lot of calls that shouldn't have been balls.
Wasn't it to Myers? I think before his home run, I think there was a call that was kind of iffy there. But
so. Some very iffy calls, which you're going to get that on time and occasion, which I can't wait for the ABS system to come through and put umpires on notice and, in my opinion, make the game a little bit more exciting. I've been going to a lot of minor league games, and I think it is a interesting part of the gameplay that should be incorporated and included at some point, hopefully by 2026 or 2027 or 2028. Just saying.
Maybe 2029. So, okay, yes, that point. Number 2, was the fly ball kind of a pop-up? Because
it was just a pop-up. That is what is crazy to me. It was a very shallow ball. And who made the play on that? Was that Chase McCormick?
Oh, I think so.
Whoever it was for the Astros, I mean, that seemed like a half-hearted throw to home. Moreover, the catcher didn't seem in any rush or hurry to make a tag or be in position to make a play. I mean, maybe
he was like let down already.
Yeah, maybe it's how we watched it on the television. And I honestly, I guess it was it had to be Meisner that scored on that play, correct?
No. It was Chris Morel.
Chris Morel. Okay, Chris Morel has some speed. I was thinking of the Jonathan Aranda erasing the 2-run deficit in the 8th inning, thanks to, in part, the double steal by Cam Meisner and Jose Caballero, which, by the way, Jose Caballero has 15 steals. So maybe that is a question. Who is going to have more steals at the end of the season, Jose Caballero or Chandler Simpson? My money is on Chandler Simpson, but that is still good to see. But yes, it was more or less a pop-up.
It was
a weak fly ball, but it still got the job done.
It got the job done. Was it the most pop-ups likeness for a fly ball? Yes, it was. It was a very thin line, but guess what? It doesn't matter. Did he score? Yes. They win the game. Good for Taylor Walls. Good for the Rays. You even up the series. Now you have a chance to win the series. You go to Wednesday's game, afternoon game, not a sellout, second non-sellout of the season for the Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa. And as Mark Topkin pointed out, the lowest attendance this year for the Rays. So things to watch out. 8,000 something. I forget the number, but it was around 8,000 something.
Well, I want to touch on a couple of those things. First off, with Taylor Walls, is this the start of something, him maybe turning a corner, or simply a blind squirrel finding a nut every now and again? Is this Taylor Walls go off season, or this is a once in a blue moon situation where he got somewhat lucky because there was some half-hearted defense involved in a speedy runner at third?
You know what? As a Rays fan, I believe in sample sizes.
Okay.
And I believe we've had a fairly big, large sample size with Taylor Walls. We know who Taylor Walls is. This is not a turning point for his offensive prowess, but it was very nice, and he had to come through. And sometimes, even if you're hitting 186, which, by the way, that wasn't a hit, but it was a sacrifice fly. It was something that they worked on supposedly during spring training, right? We heard that all the time. We got to get that runner in. We got to have productive at-bats with less than 2 outs and bring that guy in with runners in scoring position. Okay, they did that. So moving on to Wednesday's game.
Yes.
Started off kind of rocky for Tosh. Who got the home run for the Houston Astros? Is it a new guy? Do we know this name? Can you remind me of his name?
Be familiar with him. I recall Isaac Paredes hit one of his 3 home runs over the course of the series.
Yeah.
1 home run going up against Taj Bradley. So I think we can rest the Isaac Paredes wouldn't be able to hit homers at Steinbrenner Field because of the conditions in the wind or whatnot. By the way, for those keeping count at home, he went 5 for 12 with 3 home runs and 4 RBI during the course of the series. And Ulysses has a tweet authored by himself that reads, Isaac Paredes has more homers at Steinbrenner Field than Christopher Morel. How about that? And he's got, I believe, 3 times as many home runs as Morel during the entire season.
I wrote the first one when they were tied at 1 apiece. And then, well, Wednesday's game came around, and Paredes has 3 home runs at Steinbrenner Field. Christopher Morel has 1. I know traits are not graded immediately. That would be silly.
It's only been, well, almost
6
a year, I guess. Yeah, correct.
Right. So it would be silly for any baseball fan, in this case, Rays baseball fans, to say, bad trade, horrible trade. Nah. This is going to be pretty quick, though, because Morel's time is a ticking. And Hunter Biggie has to be Trevor Hoffman.
Right. For
this trade to have a semblance of, well, yeah, but I mean, it has to turn around quickly, because I don't care what Isaac Paredes' savant page says. I don't care that, well, he only could hit at the Trop and not in any park. I guess not. I know he didn't hit in Chicago. You know why? It's called the Windy City.
Yeah.
The
Windy City, new environment, new home, struggling for one reason or another. There's a lot of guys not named Isaac Paredes that get traded in the middle of the season and go to a new league, new division, and have struggles, have up and downs. It happens all the time. And, what got me thinking about Isaac Paredes is home runs. I don't have all the measurements and distance on them, but I would imagine that if you're hitting a ball 390 feet, if you're hitting a ball 400 feet, it's going to get out of Steinbrenner Field. It's going to get out of a lot of ballparks. Heck, he hit the scoreboard during one of his 3 dingers. So obviously something is working in his favor, not to mention he is still in the prime of his career.
He's a young
26 years old. And I know that we can look at his Savant page and say, oh, well, look at the exit velocity, look at the barrel percentage, look at the hard hit percentage. Well, he's got the launch angle sweet spot thing figured out to a T, plus that plate discipline and pitch recognition and just maturity in the box. If you look at his chase percentage, in his whiff percentage, in his K percentage, in his walk percentage, it is all in the red or dark red, which is appreciative of it. And you look at his home runs. If you look at his spray chart, not many of those home runs are just like, okay, it just got over the fence. It's not the Danny Jansen 318-foot variety, right, or 312-foot variety, whatever the distance was. Like, they're getting out by a good 30, 40, 50, 60 feet. So I don't get the Paredes couldn't hit a homer at Steinbrenner to save his life. And we just saw him hit 3 home runs over the course of 3 games. Also, we know what he can do defensively, and not saying that this is the only metric we should look at, but his outs above average is in the 87th percentile.
I'd like to see Junior Caminero's because it ain't 87th percentile.
Probably the 2 percentile. While you, on that note, on that thought, let me do a quick search-a-roo.
And just to hammer on that fact, I think after this series, I think we should stop that narrative. We should stop the narrative that Isaac Paredes couldn't hit at Steinbrenner Field. He obviously can. You can tell me, but the numbers, we just saw it with our own eyes. So we can't just go on the Excel spreadsheet anymore and say that it doesn't make sense. Did it make sense? I don't care, but I saw it. We all saw it. He can hit at Steinbrenner Field.
Yeah.
Do you have the numbers?
Junior Caminero. His outs above average.
7th percentile.
Guess that's your guess. 7th percentile?
7th.
He is in the 1st percentile, -7 outs above average, which
there was a 7 there.
Checks out with the eye test.
Wow, that is rough. But I have.
And I mean, if we're doing a comp for comp, besides Morel and Paredes, let's look at Paredes and Caminero. Who has the better numbers this year?
That's an easy. That is an easy equation, and I think we got to tell folks something very easy to do as well, right?
Yes, we do. We have more to discuss, but first, we have to tell the audience something very important, like Ulysses mentioned. Next on the Locked On Rays podcast, your team every day.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. They've got an easy-to-use website packed with helpful resources and latest product information to help you get the job done right. Plus, they've got an inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, so you'll get exactly what you need and delivered fast from coast to coast. You can join their free Trade Master program, which offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order by going to supplyhouse.com/TM, and you can start ordering everything, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Again, you can do all of that at supplyhouse.com.
All right, so I think we've extinguished all of our Isaac Paredes talk. I mean, good for him that he's having success in Houston, but I also think we have a little buyer's remorse. But
yeah, go ahead. We're done with the Paredes talk, but I do want to switch into something that Paredes did a lot, which was a lot of home runs.
Yes,
there were a lot of home runs, especially on Wednesday afternoon game. Like 8, bro. It was crazy. The Rays basically won by a bunch of power, and
I guess the wind wasn't an issue. The wind was a little bit calmer on Wednesday afternoon. Maybe that's the game. Is let's have all our games Wednesday afternoon at 1:00.
Buddy, I'm gonna tell you something. You know what this game means? This game means the humidity that makes the ball travel a little bit farther, a little bit faster. That helps the home run numbers go up. Guess what? This is the game of the turning point for the weather at Steinbrenner Field. You heard it here first. You are going to start seeing a lot of home runs. It has to be. Today, when you got out, it was humid. It was sticky. It was hot. I was walking for a minute and a half, nay, 73 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to have deodorant in places where the sun don't shine.
Right.
Okay? It was that bad. It's happening, folks.
Yeah.
You're going
and
to see a
pitchers
lot
maybe
of
wearing down too if they're not used to that heat. That could also
Exactly.
be something that maybe Hunter Brown wasn't quite familiar with. But yes, on the home run front, besides Paredes' 2 dingers, the Rays got back at the Astros with a handful of homers of their own. Curtis Mead getting his first homer of the season.
Yeah.
Josh Lowe getting a homer. Brandon
Mhm.
Lau getting a homer. And then Yandy with the show-stopping 3-run homer in the bottom of the 8th on a fastball that was as middle as could be. And Yandy Diaz hit it up the middle. What's interesting is
Up the middle into the batter's eye. That thing was.
correct.
By the way, is Yandy's bat flips the most underrated in baseball? Like, he
Perhaps.
has this capacity, nay, ability of just knowing that it's going to be a home run and then just does a flip right at the end of his follow through. It's one of the coolest bat flips, and it's his signature. I don't know. I think it's pretty good.
The fact that you mentioned Yandy in a positive offensive moment is important for this Rays team.
Mhm.
3 of those guys that hit homers, maybe not so much Curtis Mead because he's an auxiliary piece for now anyway, but Josh Lowe is a mainstay. He's a standout. He's supposed to be a standout. Same thing with Brandon Lau and Yandy Diaz. So for them to perform and elevate in the same game was critical, which Josh Lowe and Brandon Lau must have been talking because I believe their homers were all on first pitches of the non-heater variety. So maybe that was part of the scouting report is, hey, Hunter Brown may try to throw you off speed to start the at-bat and do something with it. And Brandon Lau's homer was impressive for another reason, not necessarily the distance, but the loft. I heard that was the highest hit homer this year. And I don't think that Brandon Lau totally expected that to be a dinger, the way that he swung and got it out of the batter's box. It almost like he was down on himself that it was a Taylor Wall's fly out or something like that, but it had enough carry to get out of the park. So hopefully this is the start of something. I would much rather the weather be. I'm okay with humid. I'm okay with putting deodorant in places that the sun doesn't shine throughout the entire summer if it means that we're going to get 3 or 4 homers a game.
Also to note, not only was it Curtis Mead's first home run of the season, which good for him, awesome, friend of the pod, but gets his average above the Mendoza line, 206. He will not come down from 200. Let's try to put that energy out there. OPS 565, not great so far, but it's a good punch for both of his numbers. And his homer came against a guy who was on fire before this game. I mean, the guy had been shutting out teams. I mean, not shutting out, but like having scoreless outings left and right. I mean,
nobody has done anything to him, to Hunter Brown. Nobody was hitting home runs against him. So it was really a unique situation for the Rays to capitalize. Now, if he had an L in his name, as in lefty pitcher, it'd most likely be a different story. But at least, this is
that's
maybe
the thing.
A building block that, hey, you can do damage. It's going to have to be a righty, but you can do damage against guys that aren't a heater pitching wise.
But that's what I'm talking about. With Curtis Mead, if he's looked as only a platoon guy, he gets to start against a righty, a tough righty, a guy that has been having a lot of success. And yet again, he's able to come through. And I think that should be a really good jump to his confidence. And I think, the team needs that right now, because if Caminero isn't doing so well, I think he's hovering at around a 660 OPS right now. Junior, which by the way, he's like 21, 22. Like, obviously we saw this coming. We said this from the beginning. Do not think Junior's going to be the savior who's going to hit 30 bombs. Don't put that pressure on him. People did.
He probably will hit 25 though. but there's going to be ups and downs, ebbs and flows. And I think he'll find a way to probably get 25 if he stays healthy, but you may not necessarily like the fashion that the 25 comes in. It's like home runs and that's it. He's not drawing walks. He'll strike out or swing at bad sliders. You know, there'll be frustrating points for him to get to that benchmark. I'll tell you what, his numbers at the very end of the season will not look as good as Isaac Paredes. That's something I can more or less guarantee.
100% I would put green Skittles on. Let's play a game. You say 25? Okay. Under, over 23.5.
I'll say over. I said 25, so I'm going to stick to.
You really are saying 25. Holy crap. Okay.
I mean, if we extrapolate, isn't he more or less on pace for 25 to 29? I mean, I know a lot has to go right for the remainder of the season, but you mentioned the humidity. All right, then maybe he can have a 3-homer game, a 2-homer game.
All right.
So,
nice.
Just putting it out there. We'll have to see what happens. Now that you explain it a little bit, now I'm not so confident, but I'll roll with it. I'll keep it going. Okay. We were supposed to get to a couple mailbag questions, but we'll have to save those for another episode. I did want to touch on something you mentioned earlier in the app, the attendance. So it was not a sellout. There were how many fans in attendance? Roughly 8,000 and change?
I think 8,500, but let me make sure in 32 seconds for you.
Okay.
Mark Topkin.
Oh, Mark Topkin loves those attendance tweets.
Yes, he does.
Cannot get enough of them. He was getting bored by another sellout tweet.
Yeah, it was the copy paste he was doing. Okay, here we go. Mark Topkin at 3:05 p.m. He says Rays announced attendance of 8,596, second of the 31 home games to not be sold out, capacity 10,046, and the smallest crowd of the season thus far. So 8,596.
Okay. So question for you, how many non-sellouts will there be this year for the Rays?
Well, that's a good question because I would say, can I do some math quickly here?
Correct. I would think that they, even on a Wednesday afternoon, which I would still think you'd find a way to get 10,046 fans in the seats. But, you know, this is a working class town. This is a service-based industry. People got to go to work. They got to get on their grind. They got the gig economy. There's a lot of that going on, not to mention the heat. And maybe they were just out late celebrating Tuesday's win, so they couldn't quite weasel in for Wednesday. But I still think it's a little bit poopy and unimpressive that you're in the heart of Tampa and you can't draw 10,046 on a Wednesday afternoon. I get that. But I would say that as we get into the legit summer months, and that's going to make things awkward because I know the schedule switches around, but when you have school out of session, kids not in school, teachers not in school, educational staff not in school, like you should be able to get.
Geez, we're really leaning on the educational system here to do some damage on the attendance.
College, high school. I mean, not to go too deep into a rabbit hole, but schools employ a lot of people.
They do. They do.
All of the Tampa Bay area and across the country and across the world. But there are, I mean, it's usually, I mean, oftentimes it's the largest employer in a county or a city. So I just want to throw that out
there. Fair enough. I'll take it back. Going to your original, we're so hyped about the series win, folks. I don't know if this is joy that you're getting from Awesome the Locked On Rays podcast. Hopefully you are as joyous as well. And drop it down in the comments. What did you think about this series win? Let's go back to the original question, which is how many non-sellout games there will be. I'm thinking 5.
Okay. I'm thinking maybe one more. Between 5 to 7, probably.
Okay.
Get in the comments what you think. How many non-sellouts?
I just did simple math. 2 over 31, X over 81.
I just wonder how much, if at all, it's an indictment for the Tampa market supporting Major League Baseball. Because I'd have to go back and look, but a Wednesday afternoon game at the Trop, would that draw fewer than 8,600? Well, maybe the difference maker is the idea that, hey, I don't have to be outside for 3+ hours. I'll be in the coolest place in town.
Well, let's look at something. So the Twins already played today. So let's see.
I bet they had 20+ thousand in the seats.
So in Target Field, the Guardians beat the Twins 5-1, and they had an afternoon game. First pitch at 2:57 p.m. Not exactly the same. Attendance 26,142. But hey, you're saying, hey, wait. That's only one game, bro. I don't. There's no way. Give me another one. Well, the Giants lost against the Royals 8-4. The first pitch was at 12:45 p.m. Attendance 29,064. You're saying, well, that's San Francisco's a beautiful park, Ulysses. What are you talking about? Give me another one. All right, fine. I will. Seattle Mariners against the Chicago White Sox at Chicago.
Oh, boy.
At Chicago. By the way, Chicago is 15-35.
And it's probably like 45 degrees there.
It's pretty cold, probably 51 degrees, and it was overcast. And the attendance, drum roll, please, 10,556.
They drew more. Holy cow! Like to get to the White Sox ballpark, you probably have to like avoid a couple shootings, a couple robberies.
Oh my God!
I mean, like, what are we doing here, Tampa Bay? Maybe we are just a Yankee town. Or we're a town of 30 different teams, mainly the Yankees and Red Sox and Philadelphia. But that is
the joy out of
disgusting. Because Minnesota, I know Minnesota's doing well, but I mean, I may be different than most people in a lot of ways, but I would probably rather go and suffer through the heat in Tampa than go to an overcast, slightly rainy Minnesota standing at 48 degrees.
Tigers, St. Louis, at St. Louis, beautiful ballpark too. 66 degrees, sunny. That's actually pretty damn perfect. First pitch, 12:16 p.m. Attendance, 28,990.
Oh my! Okay, Scott, we can't keep doing this. This is just making us look bad, making the Rays look bad, making the fans look bad. But hey, maybe it just goes back to we're a working class town.
That's right, baby.
A lot of teachers and a lot of students that can't get out of school on a Wednesday afternoon. I mean, I know that, Houston, Tampa Bay isn't the most exciting matchup, but you have an opportunity to watch Hunter Brown. You can still boo Jose Altuve. I know Bregman's no longer on the team and Kyle Tucker's no longer on the team, but I mean, there's at least somewhat interest. And I think the elephant in the room, the Rays gave options for people to get free tickets and free parking to this game, correct? Based on the Royals series, this was one of the options.
Yeah, but people saw that 1-something p.m. and they were like, nah, fam.
They chose, hey, we're going on Memorial Day, which myself and Ulysses and others are going. So if you want to hit us up, we will be at the game on Memorial Day. I don't know if we want to reveal our section, row, and seat number, but 200 if you're interested in 206, something like that, in the 200s. But just message us if you want to meet up for a brewski. But yeah, that is bad. I would imagine we'll absolutely have to have a sellout on Memorial Day. There's just Again,
guys, 2 out of 31. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing turnout.
Yeah,
let's not forget that.
Amazing turnout when the capacity is 10,046.
Well, Ken, and people are just not going to be happy about this end of the episode.
Single A ballpark. Can't sell it out. Low A, too. Not high A, low A.
Oh, my God.
Florida State League, baby.
This is hurting me. Hey, guess what, people? Thursday, off day. Enjoy it. We will. And guess what? Friday, the Blue Jays come to town. The Toronto Blue Jays, the underachieving Toronto Blue Jays that have a record of 23-24 against your Tampa Bay Rays, who have a record of 23-6. Hey, you sweep, you get to 500.
How about that?
You know what? No, I'm not even saying that. Just win Friday, and that's a 3-game winning streak. Boy, has that been difficult to find in 2025. Just win Friday, And I think us as a fandom are going to be happy with, okay, just give us a series win, because they need to start making up those losses, early losses at home. 31 games, people have gone by after this series, 34.
Indeed, they do. All right. On that note, hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on the YouTubes or wherever you listen to the